Hey everyone, thanks again for joining us here at the Preteen Ministry of First United Methodist Church of Baton, Rouge for our weekly devotional. We are finishing up our series on integrity, and today we're going to talk about three words. We're going to talk about fear, loneliness, and disappointment. And I know those are three words that aren't super fun to talk about, but I think they're important. And this is why. We feel all of those things. Sometimes we feel them pretty often. Other times we go a long time without feeling them. But the important thing is, how do you handle it when you feel it? And obviously we go straight to the Bible for all of our answers. But I think it's going to surprise you at who had to deal with this. We'll be right back and check it out. The person we're talking about today that dealt with fear, loneliness, and disappointment is Paul. Right, the Paul that we've talked about a lot lately. The same Paul that wrote most of the New Testament. The same Paul who was blinded by God on the road to Damascus. That Paul had a lot of fear, a lot of disappointment, and was lonely. See, if you remember all of Paul's missionary journeys, you can remember that sometimes he had to leave his friends behind. Sometimes his friends left him. So he's pretty lonely. There were other times where he was heading to places like Rome and he didn't know what was going to happen. I'd be pretty fearful if I were him. And he was. And then there were other times where he would go to a place and he would preach the message of Jesus and they'd toss him out and beat him up. I'd be pretty disappointed if something like that happened. But it was in the midst of all of these things, it was actually in the midst of when Paul was under house arrest in Rome, that he wrote the book of Philippians. That's right. Paul was writing a book of the Bible when he had fear, loneliness, and disappointment. And these are the words he chose instead. Words like truth, love, both of those things and so many more. Paul chose to replace fear and loneliness and disappointment with truth and love and all the things that God is. So here's my challenge to you this week. When you're feeling disappointed or lonely or fearful, choose to remember what God is. God is loving. God is holy. God is just. God is with you. God is with you always. So choose those things. Have integrity. And we can't wait to see you next month, really in just a few days, for our next series. And you'll have to tune in to find out what that is. See you guys later.